Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the DSCI Best Practice Meet 2021. This is the 13th edition of our flagship event. By looking at the digitalization context worldwide, we have selected the theme for BPM 2021 to be Security Decade, enabling digitalizer innovation of this decade. Welcome to the session on crypto economy. Crypto bringing new meaning to financial asset, investment, and money. Cryptocurrency have been a very hot topic in the BFSI industry and it is a revolution in the payment sector. During this session, we would like to gain insight on the cryptocurrency and more in terms of the risk associated with the current cryptocurrency like money laundering, etc. View on the framework, regulation, and the challenges associated with the cryptocurrency in India, as well as the perspective on the next generation payment. Also, the cryptocurrency is giving a birth of a new currency for a ransomware attack. We have an electric line of speakers deliberating on the crypto economy. First, I would like to welcome Dr. Vishwas Patil, Senior Research Scientist, IIT Bombay. Welcome, Dr. Vishwas. Next, I would like to
Hi.
welcome Mr. Nishal Sethi, Founder and CEO of Wazir X. Welcome, Nishal.
Hey, Ishan.
Next, I would like to welcome Ms. Ankita Sambhya. She is a founder and managing partner at Angina Legal and Tech Solution.
Hi, Ishan.
Welcome, Ankita. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Fanny Eriga, Vice President, Data Science and Engineering at High Radius. Welcome,
Good
Mr.
evening,
Fanny.
everyone.
And last, we have Mr. Sharat Chandra. He's a blockchain and emerging tech evangelist. Also, I would like to highlight the session would be moderated by Dr. Vishwas Patil. Also, I would request all the attendees to share their question on a chat and a Q&A window. Over to you, Dr. Vishwas.
Thank you, Ishan, and thanks all the other panelists for coming on board for this wonderful topic, crypto economy. So let me introduce this, put some perspective to this topic to the audience, and then we'll start with our opening remarks where you can mention your current works, etc., and then we'll go with the flow. Okay. So crypto economy is about economic aspects or economic behavior of people, of incentive, punishment, and rules through contracts or through cryptographic applications where mathematics is playing a role, where things are certain, where human discretion is taken away to the great extent whatever is possible. And that gives us a lot great a set of features like transparency, disintermediation, continuous audit, etc. And that's why this domain is making a lot of
when Dr. Vishwas said what are the boiling points. I think in crypto there's a lot of those things all the time, but regulation probably has to be at the top of it. And I think we've been pushing a lot for bringing about positive regulations in India. Apart from that, I think this whole ecosystem is very new. So educating people in crypto is something that we do deeply. And happy to discuss more on any of these topics as we go along.
Ankita, to you.
A very good afternoon to everyone, and I'm esteemed glad here to be on this platform and share my views on the niche area, which is also becoming the important pace of technology, and it also involves the legality towards it, because everything which is being regulated is a part of the technology right now. So, as a founder and partner of Anjana Legal and Tech Solutions, we provide a incubator, a Vidhanic legal incubator to all the startups to understand the legality towards from step one till they exit. And we also help them in their entire journey where they have to make their things regulated from the technology side, from the consumer side, or from the third party involvement. We also take care the uh, contracts between the investors and the startups. So we give a 360-degree services to all the startups so that they can bring their idea and then fly on it. And I'm so glad to discuss this topic today. And yes, I'll be talking on the regulatory side of it and how the technology or emerging technologies or futuristic technologies is to be regulated with the pace of time. Thank you, Ishwas.
Okay, Funny, over to you. Hello, Funny. I think Funny has some issues, so let's go to Sharath.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and warm welcome to my fellow panelists and everyone who has joined in today. So I lead the blockchain working group at one of the think tanks called IT India. IT is a 150-year-old think tank established in UK, and I'm part of the India chapter of the IT India. I have worked with a couple of state governments in the past, and I've had the privilege to work with Tamil Nadu, the e-governance agency, on framing the blockchain policy. I work with startups as well as industry bodies in providing inputs in the policy part and working with startups as well. Thank you. Pleasure to be
Okay,
here.
Check
thank you,
Vishwas, can you
Sharath.
hear
So,
me?
Funny, yeah, go ahead, Funny.
Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon,
Yes.
everyone. I'm Fani Arega. To introduce briefly about myself, I have about 26 years of experience in the IT industry, wherein I work across a range of technologies. I'm subject matter expert in the area of blockchain and the crypto tokens and the database and the data science. I'm a technical editor, author, speaker, and blogger on these topics. I filed 2 patents. So at present, I'm working as vice president data science with Heritage Technologies. In my prior assignment, I was heading the engineering with a company by name Zebi Data, which is focuses solely on blockchain, and we had built the private blockchain platform and a public blockchain platform, which were perhaps the first of India to go to production. And we also launched a cryptocurrency, and we also have done a initial coin offering where we raised an equivalent of $10 billion. So in this, I'm glad to be be in this meeting, and I would like to thank the organizers for having me in. So in this meeting, I would love to talk about some of the concepts and the aspects of the financial assets, and what are the benefits we get from crypto economy with respect to investment and liquidity, and and what more can be done from the side of the regulator or from the side of the industry and academia for the crypto economy to prosper further. Thank you.
Thanks, Funny. Good. So, before we get into the several curious topics like money, financial assets, etc., let's have some insights from Nishchal about what kind of people or the demography is involved in this crypto kind of thing? Who is driving this market? And some insights, Nishchal?
Um, I think if we were to look at you know, age group first of all, in India and in general, this is across the world. The 22 to 28-year-olds form the largest segment of people in crypto, and we are seeing that in India as well. And I think the good part about that is India has a large number of people in the 20 to 30-year age range, which makes me more confident about the fact that probably India will see greater innovation and I would say more adoption of crypto. And it's already evident from the last 6 to 12 months. I think over 5 million people have entered crypto in India alone, and that's a large number. So that's the first. The second is one of the many of these stats are from our own internal data on WazirX, where we have 7.5 million customers today. It's not just concentrated on the metros. It started that way in 2017, 2018. Metros formed a large part of our user base in crypto, but now a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 city participation we are seeing. In fact, I think we've seen greater number of people from tier 2 and tier 3 cities in the last 6 to 8 months entering crypto compared to the metros. So what that means is that crypto is spreading across various parts of India. It's not just concentrated in the metro cities anymore. Same with women participation. We're seeing a larger number of women from tier 2, 3 and tier 3 cities entering crypto now. So I think what this is actually showing is that there's a larger adoption and absorption of this whole technology. It's not just focus on a niche audience, but people all around the country and in the young age group. Now, the young age group is sort of evidence. If you look at the history of anything which technology has produced, the young population always catches on to it first, and then the rest of the world follows. And that is happening. It has happened to Facebook, Twitter, mobile phones, anything that you see. And that is happening in crypto, which is a great sign for the sector in general that it is in the right direction. So, yeah, these are some of the stats that I had in mind.
Thank you, Nishchal. Thank you. So moving ahead, so a large amount of people associate crypto with currency. Okay, and that's obvious how the birth of cryptocurrency, that is Bitcoin and Ethereum, has happened. So before touching upon the regulatory sides of what government is doing in this area, etc., let's have some views from Sharath and Funny on the CBCD, that kind of approaches that China, US are doing, and even India is making rounds or thinking, contemplating about issuing a digital currency, government backed. So, what do you think? What are your views on these things, Sharath?
So, it's heartening to see India joining the CBDC bandwagon and joining that race. I wouldn't call it a race, but more like a marathon now, because it's a long way to go. So, we all have had account-based electronic money, but this new form of tokenized programmable money offers a lot of advantages. And depending upon how it's going to be issued, so we have, let's say, an account-based CBDC or a hybrid model of CBDC. But one of the IMF papers, it talks about a synthetic CBDC where e-money service providers having some central bank reserves can issue, let's say, stable coins or synthetic CBDCs, which can, as far as in Indian context, can go a long mile in unleashing the UPI moment for lending. Now, if I can talk about the P2P lending part, where even RBI has a revised regulatory framework. It came out in January this year, where it talks about NBFC P2P lending doesn't have any systemic risk. So assuming that we have a synthetic digital rupee, which can empower payment service providers or e-money service providers to issue their own stable coins, what it can do is it can, first of all, bring a lot of people or give access to official or let's say official line of credit to many people who don't have that line of credit. So that there are so many people who are outside that fold of financial inclusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about Jan Dhan accounts. 40 million Jan Dhan accounts over a period of 6 years. But last year, there was a report by India Spend which talks about only 40% of those accounts were dormant because they were not actively used, or the banks are not quite far away, right? But let's talk about the P2P model where with responsible collaboration between entities, we have a synthetic CBDC, or let's say stable coin, which can be used to offer credit where all these banking channels or banking correspondents are somewhere not able to reach, right? So I think that can also unleash a new movement, and with the launch of OCN, Open Credit Enablement Network, right, and account aggregator, this can also lead to the new era of open finance or open banking, where crypto can play a very significant role, and this will also require major participation from exchanges and private players, payment service providers, wallets, to make it more mainstream. Thank you.
Correct, correct, correct. Thanks, Sharat. Thanks a lot for this insight on this thing. And since you mentioned about this OCN and open banking things, and which also has several overlaps with regulation, and several things are happening in past few years. And maybe Ankita is a good person to give us some perspective on regulations aspect of this domain, and also what is happening in open banking and what kind of understanding that we have as of 2021, maybe the road ahead.
Thank you, Vishwas. Uh, so before answering to your question, the basic thing which we need to understand is that technology is emerging so much that it has changed the interaction between the consumer to consumer. It has also changed the traditional business models. So whenever we talk about the consumer aspect or when we talk about the business aspect, the regulation has to play the major role. So if I take the example of open banking system, the open banking system is at the stage of regulatory sandbox. What we call a regulatory sandbox is it's a platform where we put the product on testing. Then we collect all the data, which also includes the benefits, risk factors, challenges ahead. Then what we do, we just analysis the entire data, and then we start regulating it and start putting the regulations in two forms. One, either it could be a independent regulation altogether, or we make certain changes to the existing regulations so that we can protect. So what I feel the need of the hour is that we need to become from regulatory sandbox to a reg tech. What I mean by reg tech is we have to match that pace. If we are not matching that pace, the technology will move ahead a lot and regulations will come later. So we can see the risk factors multiplies more. For example, if I take the drone technology, drone was first used during the Kargil War 1999 by the Indian Army, right? But after that, we have seen the positive side of drone. Now the drones are also being used by the rescue teams during any destruction
Floods.
or floods or earthquakes, any form of destruction by the act of God. So we have seen the positive side of it, but we took it 18 years. In 2018, we got certain regulations from the ministry. So what I feel personally that we need to catch up the pace. Now, there are a lot of questions which are being posed to us time and again by a lot of startups and the consumers. Why cryptocurrency? At what stage it is for the regulation? Now we say it has crossed the stage of regulatory sandbox. Now we are in a last stage, which is a collaborative regulation. What we mean by collaborative, after seeing all the jurisdictions of the world, how they are acting on it, what are their data, how they have taken or considered, for example, are they considering it as a legal tender or it is considering as an asset, a property, any XYZ category. So how they are evolving their laws, the traditional laws as well as the new laws. Similarly, now we are at a stage where we need to actually make a separate law for cryptocurrencies. So here, when we talk about the open banking system, we are at a stage where we need now the PDP bill very soon so that we can understand how the consent data can be distributed or shifted from the banking system to the third party. So
Correct.
we are at that stage. So we need to understand the cruciality of the time and the stage which we are in. So now the open banking system is already tested in the market. COVID times was the best time to test this platform, because everything was shift from fiat currency to digital UPI form, right? And we have seen how beautifully the government has worked on it, as well as how the corporate entities have dealt with it. So now we have just awaited for the regulation. Similarly, with the cryptocurrencies, now it has been decade, like 10 years past. 2007 it started, now we are in 2021. We have seen the ups and downs with it, the negatives and positives, and the basically everyone has become Atmanirbhar. Every single person is, if we talk about the currency, how we relate to it, so every individual is becoming, especially the young generation is becoming Atmanirbhar. The females, our Nishchal just lay down all the statics, right? The females are becoming Atmanirbhar. So now the need is where we fall actually under the regulatory framework, whether in the traditional, like for example the KYC, AML, FEMA, or we need a separate. So now we are at a stage where we need to know where we stand in the regulatory form so that we can further, because when any concept comes, it shifts from one regulatory to another regulatory. For example, if cryptocurrency come as an asset, so it will shift from tax, it will shift from FEMA, it will shift from XYZ regulations. So now we are at a stage where we need to have a clarity. And I appreciate how the Indian market is accepting it and trying to come up and take care all the risks and protect the citizens of the country.
Okay. Thank you, Ankita. Hi, Funny. You have any views?
Right. Sure. So I would like to also highlight that the crypto economy is not just about the cryptocurrency. It's also a concept of crypto assets, and that's also very important because it changes. It makes a whole lot of difference to business. And of late, the concept of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, has become very popular. So basically, any item, whether it is a material or non-material thing which has a value of art or artifact value, it is represented with its digital twin on the blockchain as a crypto asset. So once it is represented as a uh, 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 digital token of the actual entity on the blockchain, so the liquidity increases enormously. So buying and selling and tracking the ownership of that becomes very easy. And another key concept is it also facilitates fractional ownership. What I mean by fractional ownership is so let's say now in even without blockchain and crypto economy, there is a concept of multiple people jointly owning an asset. But if somebody if one of them has to offload it, he doesn't have a choice to offload it. So they all have to decide to sell, and then they have to sell it together. Whereas when the assets are modeled as crypto assets, the concept of fractional ownership is very easy to implement. So a person who owns, let's say, 10% of it can sell his share alone to somebody else. So of course even some legal clearances, etc., could be required here. But this concept of fractional ownership and trading fractional ownerships, it can well be facilitated with the crypto assets. And apart from this, the crypto assets can also be used for tracking the provenance and the counterfeiting. So whether we call that as something related to crypto economy or not, perhaps it's on the borderline. So there are some diamond merchants who actually track the movement of the diamond from one supplier to another store to the buyer, from buyer one to buyer two on the blockchain by modeling it as a as a token.
Okay. Thanks, Funny. So, coming back to what Ankita and Sharad were highlighting, that definitely it looks like banking is in a big shift of change. And we are also seeing several evidences, not in crypto side but at least on digital side, like UPI is world's largest platform to handle small transactions. Then e-rupee has been launched recently with some specific purpose. So these are the digital versions of some intended purpose. There are certainly some self-verifiable possibilities under crypto, where crypto can take away the task of verifying stuff or some sort of.
I think we lost Dr.
Yeah,
Vishwa. We lost the
yeah. I
host.
think yeah. So I guess okay, he's back.
Back.
Vishwas,
So I
we
thought
lost you
you
for
are gone.
a few
Okay.
seconds.
Fine. I'm sorry for that. So I was thinking that you guys are going one after another. That's okay. So the thing I was mentioning was the initiatives like UPI, e-rupee, and the Aadhaar. So several these digital platforms, though they are not crypto related, but these are evidences or these are digital tracks of things on which one can rely and build something at the next level. Certainly that can be in a closed system driven by a consortia or by government, or now is the time. Maybe you panelists can tell us whether this is the right time that things like open banking, where these platform can open up some of the data that they have, and several startups or other firms, whoever are interested, can act upon that data and give some sort of improved financial services, etc. So this is the thing we would like to know from you guys, means whether this is the right time for the next shift that we need in this, in from digital to crypto. Sharat, from you.
Right. I think the time is right. And if I can quote about one particular use case about MSME uh, credit gap, where we have, let's say, close to 63 million MSMEs in India, as per
Mhm.
industry estimates annually. And out of that number, close to 30 million, 27, 29
Mhm.
million don't have access to formal credit. Now, using P2P lending or even open up borders and we get access to global capital and people who are willing to finance and fund these MSMEs can be easily tested out. And I think e-rupee can be one example where that example can be taken forward, where you have a pre-programmed money to support MSMEs. So I think last year the government rolled out close to 3 trillion rupees to support MSMEs during the first wave and second wave as well. But there's no clarity on how much of that money was actually utilized by those MSMEs, right? Because there's always caveats of interest rates and what was the repayment history and all that stuff, right? So I think MSMEs can be supported, and crypto can play a very significant role. And with DeFi coming in with the right regulatory framework, so that you can keep bad actors at play and bring in compliance with right framework, DeFi can actually open new avenues for funding these MSMEs, and smart contract based finance is here to stay, I would say. I'm open to Nishil's views on this, how he thinks this can be taken forward.
Yeah, Nishant.
Um, I think the time for open is it's been there. I think it started with the internet. If you think about it, what the internet has been doing is just making things more open. And finance for a long time was missing something because it was all about information and knowledge that was being put on the internet. Now what is happening is the financial world is getting opened up. It's getting disrupted, we could say. Money is getting disrupted, everything in the finance domain. And well, I'm not a believer that just because crypto is here, the traditional financial world would die out or something. But I believe that the traditional financial world should also make itself compete. It should compete, and this whole open finance, open banking is a step in that direction. What that means is, the for the end user, for the customers, it's the best of both worlds. Now you have traditional systems that are competing, And then you have a very new paradigm shift in how finance is done, which is crypto, which is decentralized, where there are no central banks, no central authorities. So just imagine the future, maybe let's say 5 years down the line, when both of these merge, and you have these amazing products built where maybe new products will take advantage of both of these aspects, where some APIs from the open banking system and some of these DeFi elements, smart contracts based protocols that can help you with lending and a lot of other aspects, savings products in the decentralized world. When these merge, I think that'll be amazing. So a hybrid financial system will be something that will progress, the regular, I would say, economies into the next zone, because one side you have these the local economy, which is your traditional financial system, and then you have the global one, which is your decentralized ecosystem. So if India can jump into both of these, I think that'll be an amazing advantage for us as a nation. So I'm pretty psyched up about this whole opportunity. Right now it seems disjointed. Right now it seems like you can either build for crypto or you can build for the traditional systems. That's again, I think the lack of regulatory clarity is causing that. But the moment there is clarity,
Correct.
we'll see
Yes.
these two emerge into, like, we'll see them merge. And I think that will be beautiful in the end.
And to add a comment on that, if you want to look for a similar example, we can look for the e-commerce sites and the traditional brick and mortar stores. So after Amazon has come in, and the likes of Amazon have coming, so for a buyer to connect with the sellers and get the right required thing at the required at a choice price has become so easy. So it becomes self-service, and the cost of execution would reduce, and also there'll be no need of a middleman. So, and because the e-commerce is just about buying items, it can run fine in a non-blockchain centralized system as well. Whereas when it comes to lending and borrowing, because the stakes are higher, a similar e-commerce marketplace kind of system needs a blockchain to run. And when that and then it becomes a decentralized financing system, and because it is running on blockchain, it's actually trusted by all the players, and adoption will be more. So the way e-commerce is existing along with the regular stores today, so probably sometime down the line, so we can have the crypto DeFi also happening, and along with that, the traditional lending and borrowing can also occur the way it is happening. So it will they may probably be catering to different sections of the society, but they can definitely coexist.
Can I just add one more
Thanks,
point?
Fani. So, sure, Ankita. I would like to connect to Nischal's view and put it into your forte. Okay, so what he was mentioning about the lack of regulatory stuff or guidelines. Uh, my view on that, Nishchal, and so it's not about lack. Okay, it's about time. Means, see, banks not only in India and across the world are opening up their APIs. So definitely, open world is relevant from the time of internet's birth. But the thing is, opening up to outside the organization for a public utility or for a consortia based utility of the data. And this whole economy, this whole new thing that is coming to our face is based on data. And what is missing is that earlier paper-based records and these digital records, there is a inherent difference that physical thing had several restrictions that of copying, etc. But digital stuff does not have these kind of restrictions, and our old regulations cannot be easily transformed into these things because there are some fundamental shifts about the nature of the representation of the information, and that's why now nobody knows how to deal with this stuff. Okay, so Satoshi dealt with this double spending and these kind of questions with his paper, but now GDPR, PDP, These are giving a first try of handling the issues that we are facing. This is not the end and this is not the final. So this is a continuous evolution that is happening. And maybe Ankita can give us the thing that are happening in this, what regulate means, what kind of challenges these guys face and how they evolve. Why does it take time for them to come up with this? And Ankita, you also mentioned that there is a gap between the technology and regulation, and I think that will be there always because there is a natural cause behind that. Your views, Ankita?
So I do agree with all the views what panelists just shared. So if I talk about Nishchal and Mr. Sharat, what they have supported, one is CBCD and one is the cryptocurrency. So whenever we regulators or legislators sit and form the any laws, the basic viewpoint is how we see the how the entire market is evolving, how the people are accepting it, adapting it, and whether it's safe for the people or not. So when I talk about the cryptocurrencies, we have seen the market that people have welcomed peer-to-peer concept, the technology, and but we have certain sector or set of people who are still have faith in the system, the central system. That's why they're also getting the CBDC in the formation. So for me personally, I feel that both the concepts should give the equal platform with the regulations regulated in certain forms. And when the platform is given, I think it's on the people who has to choose it, where they put their more trust and where they don't put trust. But whenever we talk about the regulation, yes, there is a gap. There will always be a slight gap, because whenever we regulate something, we keep five considerations in mind, and those five consideration is how to protect its citizens, how to match the international standards, then how to provide or ensure fair markets for the competition, what to regulate and what not to regulate, and when to regulate. The timing is very important, and how the technology will serve the humans for the growth and betterment for the future. So these are the five considerations which any regulatory body of any jurisdictions will look into the factor. So how Nishchal said, yes, if we give the opportunity for the cryptocurrency or crypto asset, as Mr. Funny associated it and gave a very brilliant example. Definitely, we need regulations to put in a category so that we can move more, and we can move this cryptocurrency to a proper channel. And when we talk about the CBDC, yes, the government has taken an initiative. They have welcomed the technology, and they are looking forward to evolve this financial sector also, and synchronize the technology and financial aspect or economy aspect of the country.
Dr. Vishwas, can you hear us?
Hi, Sharat Mishra. Yeah, I think
Yeah, we
Ankita,
can hear you
we
now.
lost you for a moment. Or I don't know whether it's vice versa, whether you lost me. I thought I lost Ankita. So clearly, what you are saying highlights that there is a lot of learning even on the regulator side, even on the academic side. Uh, Nichal, are you talking to me or Ankita?
I
Anyway,
think
hello.
there's a lag probably.
There is some confusion now. Who am I audible?
Yes,
Ankita?
Yes, you are.
yes, you're audible. Yes.
Sharat, hello.
Yes, you're audible. Please go ahead.
I can hear you, Vishwas.
No, I think he's having a lag. He's probably getting our voice later.
Vishwas, can you hear us? Okay, I think we lost Vishwas. So do we want to switch over to the next part of the discussion, the investments and the impact on investments?
One of you,
Sure,
Mr.
sure.
Funny, you can start and we can chime in there.
Sure. Yeah. So a big benefit that comes with the crypto economy is actually we'll be able to crowdsource small amounts of investments and actually pool them into a overall one big amount. So, like for example, if you compare the initial coin offering, which is in the crypto world, the way of diluting equity, and if you compare that with the IPO, so in the ICO, and okay, maybe not exactly with the IPO, but if you compare ICO with the traditional venture capital investment. So typically for a startup or so to raise funding, it takes a lot of effort, and it needs and it'll typically be a minimum big amount that the venture capitalists will look to invest in, let's say $10 million or $20 million or whatever. Whereas if the same thing is done by the path of ICO, the initial coin offering, even without being able to convince any major investor, just through crowdsourcing, so they can raise a good amount of funds. To give an
Also,
example,
the board seat that usually you have to let go, and the control,
yeah,
which
you don't do.
in an ICO does not. You know,
Correct. So to give an example, in my previous company's Evi Data, so we raised we raised an equivalent of $10 million in a 2-month period of the ICO of our sister company, and that was spread across 3,000 investors, each person actually pulling in small contributions. That way, that is another major benefit that is brought up by this crypto economy. So it facilitates crowdsourcing of investments, which is otherwise impractical to do, and which is something very good for business. Vishwash, can you hear us?
Okay. Yes. Thanks, Funny. So that also highlights what Nishchan sarcastically was mentioning, that we are entering into a code. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Funny, Ankita?
Yes.
Yes, we can, but I think there is a lag. I think when we speak, by the time you hear, there
Yes?
seems to be a few
Right.
seconds lag.
So the thing that you were mentioning, I'm sorry for that. Okay. So the point I want to highlight with this, and which is a very serious point, is that we are entering into a code-based economy. Okay. We are taking away the human discretion and entering into machine decisions. And when you are writing the ICO, and there are several instances that some vulnerabilities have spoiled the whole ICO. So there is a large chance that the issues that exist in code are going to affect the way we are conducting our businesses. Okay. So there is a serious requirement or a urgent need to have good or quality way of implementing these things. So either through programs or through platforms, etc. And regulators also need to have that kind of guarantees from the platforms that these kind of vulnerabilities do not exist, or there are sufficient precautions in place. So that's what I wanted to bring your attention to. And with this, I would like you all to have some sort of closing remarks, maybe towards what the future is, what kind of things we are missing, and what could make this space better. Starting from Ankita, Funny, Sharat, and Nishchal.
So, when we talk about the smart devices, the basic two things we see: how the devices respond and how they anticipate the consumer needs. So,
Hello, Ankita?
Yes, Vishwas, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I think there's a lag. Uh, am I clear to rest of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
panel?
yeah, yeah.
Yes, Sagita, please continue. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, what I was saying that smart devices do respond to and anticipates the consumer needs. So basically, we need to understand the consumer needs. Today, if we have the consumer needs for a peer-peer relationship, then definitely we have the technology will start responding to that. If we need a centralized, then technology will be developed in such a way that it should be centralized and governed by the regulators. So when we talk about the technology and involvement, it is not going to stop. Now we have the new concept of NFTs also. When we see the NFTs, that is another level of protecting the ownership of the person, which also challenge your intellectual property, which is again an asset. So whenever the technology will evolve, it will go one step ahead. It will also drag all the traditional regulations along with it and also demand the fresh. So either it's a need that we make certain changes to the definitions basically. For example, if we have to make a change to the income definition in the income tax, or in the FEMA, we have to inculcate the definitions, whether it's an asset or something. So yeah, on different, we need changes on both platforms, the traditional also and the new forms also. And yes, where we are dealing and we are playing, and we are also earning on the data of any sort of personal data which has been protected under the IT Act, but still we are playing with the data. So we need more strict regulations, the permissions to what level we can release the data to the third party, who will be the carrying the liability for it if there is any cause. So yes, we need certain framework where we can actually now decide what is to be done with the technology in future or not.
Okay, Ankita, thanks a lot. Unfortunately, we are to the end of this session. Very quickly, funny, maybe in
Sure.
few seconds, 10 to
Sure.
15, please.
Yeah. So I would like to highlight that whenever developments like this happen, DeFi and cryptocurrency. So in a country like India, where there's a large mass of, where there's a drastic difference in the literacy and education levels, there's always a challenge of the digital divide. So people who are on the better side of the digital divide end up using it and benefiting from it, and the people who don't have access to that end up not benefiting from it. So I think that's one area where the regulators and corporates have to be careful and try to involve them also. To give an example, in this online banking, I feel they have very successfully been able to address the challenge of the digital divide because of the UPI. Today, if you're going and buying some fruit from a hawker on the street, you're still able to pay them digitally. So that's one example where the digital divide was conquered by things like UPI and having everybody open bank accounts and all. In the same way, for the crypto economy, also measures should be taken to avoid the digital divide problem. Thank you.
I'm terribly sorry to interrupt the panel, but Dr. Patel, if we could kindly conclude.
Okay, thanks,
Right.
funny.
Thank you so much.
Sharad?
Just to add on to Funny's
Hi,
and Anita's points, I would like to say that it's important to spread literacy around crypto and how it can help offer freedom to people to have access to a different set of asset classes, and that's where campaigns by initial like India wants crypto, and we also had one campaign by mutual funds like mutual fund Sahiya, right? So I think we need maybe it's time for another campaign for crypto called maybe crypto for inclusion or crypto for financial freedom to spread literacy and awareness. And mediums like radio and television can really help a lot. Thank you.
great. Thanks, Sharad. Nishal?
Sure. So quickly, because we have to wrap up, I think it's a once in a generation opportunity to be an early mover in a innovative technology, and crypto is that opportunity for all of us. So whether investments aside, I think spend some time to understand it. It's just like the early days of the internet, and you don't get that opportunity always. So make the best of it. That's my advice.
Thanks a lot. So before we conclude, let's take some questions that we have. Okay, and there is one question that access security is one of the fundamental requirement where based on the associated quantitative risk of the control measurement shall be applied. Please share some more insights to get it possible execution. I'm sorry to understand this question properly. So let's go to the next question. What are your views on following risks like temperature, pressure, light, wind, humidity, vibration?
No, I think,
Or
Dr. Vishal, this is from the previous session. You'll
Yes.
have to scroll all the way down.
strange question, I guess. Or how about the product update security? Please share your
Again,
view.
that.
Oh, is it? Luckily. My goodness, I was worried that whether I am having some sort of hangover or what is it? Pressure, temperature. So there is something called what are the opportunities emanating from PDPB for professionals? What does this mean?
I think probably he means
Is this
CBDC,
about
probably,
personal data protection bill? Maybe this is a
or,
typo.
or maybe that.
I think this is not so relevant to the panel that we have. So I'm sorry for that. What are your views on the future of crypto NFT in India, keeping in mind? I think we have covered this. I think we have covered this. So,
In one word, we have a very bright
no,
future.
PDPB also comes quite close. Okay. So it's about, I think, privacy law. That's true. That's true. That's true. And it's a very long movement and it's a people's movement. And that's why what Sharad and Nishal and Funny are mentioning about the literacy. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. We have to make use of it. The way software was promoted, maybe we should also promote the crypto. And because it's a people's movement, it's P2P, it's one to one. Because a lot of human discretion is going away. You have to make the decision. So with this, allow me to thank you all, the panelists and also the audience. And it was a nice time speaking to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you so much.